Thanks for staying with us. On this segment, we will be focusing on the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy. It's been over a year since the Minister, Honorable Hannatu Musawa, was sworn in. Today, she will be speaking on what she met, what she's done so far, and what she plans to do. You can join the conversation again on 081-0764-1679, 090-241-63440. You can also send your tweets to X. We'll be happy to read it on at TVC Connect. Good to have you again.
Thank you.
So I know you're in Lagos. You had a stakeholders meeting yesterday to share some of the plans. You discussed something about an 8-point agenda. Could you share with us the plan exactly for the ministry and what you hope Nigerians will know what you're doing?
Yeah. So, you know, when I came into the ministry, what I saw was literally nothing in terms of a foundation had been set up for specifically creative industry. This is the first time that there has ever been a ministry that really sort of caters specifically for that. We've always had sort of that cultural component, but it always came under information, and information sort of overshadowed it. So to think that, you know, there were not legal regulatory frameworks in place that would really support the ministry and infrastructure, it was really, for me, it was a crying shame, because even though I'm a little bit of a creator, because I do art, I do poetry and writing, but I didn't know that nothing had really been done. The industry has really thrived and been successful, specifically globally, and I keep on talking about the fact that, you know, Nigeria is having a moment, but is in spite of government. Government has done absolutely nothing up until now to support the industry. It's the content and talent of Nigerians that have taken it abroad, that have sort of grown it organically. So what I decided to do is, like building a house, was to really start from the bottom, to build the fantastic foundation. But when you're building a house and it's beautiful and you've, you know, got wonderful furniture, but you don't have a proper foundation, it's going to crumble. So in order to do that, at the beginning, what I did was I wanted to do a proper deep dive and research. So I brought in some of the best minds and cerebral organizations in the world to help me look at, you know, the work has already been done in other climes. In South Korea, you can see what they're doing. In Japan, in America, what they've done with Silicon Valley. So I knew that there was a lot of value here. So I brought in BCG, EY, McKinsey to do a deep dive, to do research using these benchmark countries and to sort of come up with a strategy which we can localize to see how not only we can, I wanted to do, well, the president told me he wanted an economic expansion from the industry, and also he wanted job creation. So we looked at it and I saw, like I said, there was no framework in place. So of course, when you're talking about putting up a framework, you have to look at the policy. I came up with an 8-point agenda, which Destination 2030, the issue of policy, IP policy. To think that there was no IP policy to support the industry, for me, was a crying shame. So, you know, we did a stakeholder engagement across the full spectrum of the industry, which is at least 49 subsectors. So it was not something that I could just do alone with a team. I wanted to engage members of the industry so that they can bring their input, and we can flesh out this policy. And of course, it was interministerial as well, because it's cross-cutting. So together, myself and the Minister of Trade and Investment, Doris, we came up, we did this huge engagement. And I'm so excited to say that, like I mentioned yesterday, in 2 weeks, I will deliver IP policy. That is foundational. That is key. You cannot talk about any implementation of any program without giving the securitization that is required. And you're talking about investment, but you have to give people the confidence that, you know, their IP is protected. And of course, to also allow members within the industry to use their IP as collateral.
So just for our viewers to know, that's intellectual property. So you
Intellectual
have
property,
ideas,
sorry.
you have things that are yours, and then you put it out there, and it's not protected. Somebody else is taking from
Yeah,
your,
and that's part of
your sweat, your ideas.
Yeah.
So that what you do, that shield you're giving to us
Absolutely.
as creatives,
Yeah.
is that I can have an idea, put it out there, and you protecting me,
Yeah.
so that I earn my money. Yes, Mariam.
Yes, you know, to be honest, when I heard that she was coming, I was thinking about it. I said, my first question will be, what does the ministry do? Like, really, what I've always heard, you know, the information as you mentioned, but what is it about culture? So recently, you know, I've been seeing a lot of information about the Benin Empire, the Benin mode, but I'm hearing it from Oyibo people. Yeah. They are fascinated by it. Nigerians don't know anything about that. Our culture and our cultural practices and our cultural heritage, is this something that falls under your ministry? And if it is, what is your plan for educating Nigerians and also, you know, leveraging on our culture and our landmarks to, you know, for the to better Nigerians and also make us quite visible out there?
So I often say that there's a huge real estate in this sector, from the cultural industry and the creative industry. I have committed that we're going to contribute at least $100 billion to increase the GDP by 2030 and also create jobs and also sort of reposition Nigeria because, like you said, you know, our culture, the white people, the diaspora community are very interested in this culture of ours. Some of what you're talking about is the lack of infrastructure. The fact that we don't have proper museums. Listen, when I went to the National Museum here in Lagos, I almost cried. I couldn't believe that that was the National Museum. We don't have a museum in Abuja, the capital city. So this is where, when we talk about, you know, the Benin culture, where, you know, the diaspora community see worth in this culture of ours, in our history, these fantastic artifacts. We're talking about bringing them back. We don't even have storage to be able to do it. And I keep on saying that what we want to do is to do everything in the best interest of those artifacts. So when you're bringing them back, you have to build storage facilities, which we're doing. We want to leverage on this culture and the interest that people have within our creativity to see that we have a huge cultural expansion, making Nigeria the cultural hub of Africa. 240 fantastic kaleidoscope of tribes, beautiful, wonderful, every single one of them. We want to use that to bring unity. We want to use it to reposition Nigeria, change the narrative of Nigeria. They talk about rebranding. I don't want to use that word, rebranding. I want to talk about repositioning us so that when you go abroad, they talk about Nigeria from the vantage point of what we have to offer from our talent and our content. And, you know, this cultural expansion that we talk about, I want to close all the gaps that disallow us to monetize that particular sector. So, for example, the policy that we spoke about, I mean, it's very wide, so I'm sure I will not be able to divulge everything, but...
Yeah, go ahead, Lamakani.
Okay, yes, like, Mariam, like what you said in terms of telling our stories, I know, like, Ebony, like, Mwabudu, they've been trying, but I just feel like so much of our stories, even, like, something as important as the Biafran War, stories are not being told properly. We are losing our heritage as a people. Even simple things as games that children play, you know, we're letting technology take over. Like even the Ogaswe that children play outside, even the Ayo, we call it Uncho, right? So I keep seeing people going for all these competitions. They go for chess competition, they do that competition. We need to start also creating the environment where we can even do all those Ayo on competitions. All those are local, so that we don't lose, because those games, traditional games, they teach you something. They teach you patience. They teach you how to think locally. So we don't lose our songs, how we tell forelogs, how we tell stories.
Even around,
you know, so
that's very interesting because, you know, gaming and animation is a very exciting subsector under our ministry, and we are working on some exciting projects that will leverage on our culture to, I mean, we've developed one already, and it's almost at the point of almost complete, well, it's at the point of development. So we are doing a number of games and animation, just using that culture, our dances, just an expression of who we are. to ensure that we, you know, we talk about the children getting confused as to their identity and their ideals. Yeah. So we're using that. I would love to share more, maybe more of some of the amazing things that we're doing in terms of all those subsectors and maybe...
Yeah, I mean, there was something, I'll come to work in a second, because I know that you also wanted collaboration, because I was saying that there are people who have organically built this industry.
They've done it.
There are people, you talked about Madhouse yesterday. Yeah. I know your animation for Hip TV, had this awards. These are people who have built this thing. Yeah. Now, your ministry is saying, I'm here to collaborate. In what ways can you collaborate with existing events or activities that's happening? And we have the National Theater. Yeah. How can that be accessible? For example, he shouldn't be traveling all around the world looking for headies. They will have a National Theater right there. So what can the government do? What infrastructure do you have available that can make existing industry activities more accessible for Nigeria?
I mean, ironically, even last week I had a meeting with Mr. Ayo, telling him I'm going to need him to bring the headies back to Nigeria. I mean, I told him, it doesn't need to be in America. We have the Wura Theater. And I hope he's watching and listening, because I'm supposed to have a meeting with him after this. He went to see the Wura Theater yesterday, and I want to get his feedback, because we want to use that. That's a national edifice, which the Committee of Bankers have done an astronomical job. If you have never been anywhere in Nigeria, you need to go to the Wura Theater. That will make you so proud to be a Nigerian. They have done a fantastic job. There's nowhere in the world as beautiful as the Wura Theater.
No, I haven't been there.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I hope we can do a show from there.
I would love to.
I can co-host again.
Yeah, absolutely. Should I take you up on that?
Yes, please. And you know, we want to bring. Listen. By the next year, because now we have put all the framework in place, and we're working on infrastructure, arenas, cinemas. We're working on museums. We're working on Abuja Creative City, a one-stop shop for the 49 subsectors that will be represented. All over the country, we're working on the Renaissance Project, which is going to work directly with the states to use the unique peculiarities in the state to ensure that there's long-term sustainability of whatever the state represents in terms of culture and creative industry. So honestly, in the next year, you're going to see, because now we have the framework in place and we have the protection and securitization, and we're coming up with a number of memos that I've taken to FEC. Hopefully, we'll get approval. That will also get funding for members in the industry. Okay, we talk about those that have been successful, but there's a number of other people that just don't have access to funding. So I'm working on that capacity building. We've come up with CLAP, and is an online database that will give you access to training, capacity building, proper networks, job creation. I want to make, they say is the new oil. For me, it is beyond the new oil, because not every Nigerian has access to go and work in an oil company. Every single Nigerian, no matter where they are, has the ability to create content in their bedroom. And so this is what I want to do, to bring it, to localize it, to make it a resource for every Nigerian, and to contribute to increase the GDP, because that will be able to be distilled down. And, you know, help other sectors within the country.
So I was going to ask you two questions. One, how accessible are you? One. Second, do you know about Felabration?
I've heard about, well, let me answer the first one. I have heard about Felabration. And thank God, when I came and sat here, you invited me to participate, which I've already accepted. So it looks like I'm going to be doing a lot of trips to Lagos in the next couple of months. And, you know, we are supporting other, you know, we're supporting fashion shows, we're supporting all what Chioma is doing, Mo Abudu, what they have done in the industry, all the feats and all the different festivals and carnivals and Afrif. We're going to work with them. We want
President Macron was here for Felabration. Did you hear about that? He came, yes. He came all the way here. Just went straight to Felabration. So it's actually a national treasure.
Well, if President Macron has come, I certainly have to come as well. Listen, every single person within the sector, because government has never been there till now.
Yeah.
So government is there to serve members of the industry. So anyone that, you know, wants government to come in, to use that network, to use that access, I'm here. How accessible am I? I think I probably am one of the most accessible ministers. Honestly, I'm extremely accessible. On Thursdays between 12 to 2, I sit my behind in my office and I accept anyone who, I mean, I have to limit it. Before it was every day, but I've got to work as well. So every Thursday from 12 to 2, when I'm around in the country, I'm in my office and anyone can come to the office to see me.
Okay, so. The reason I asked you if you'd heard about Celebration is because the next question was going to be, what do you know about it?
Yeah.
What do you know about it? And because I hear that you're bringing the Grammys to Nigeria.
Yes.
Why bring Grammys to Nigeria? Why not have a Nigerian version? Not call it Grammys. I mean, we already have the headies here that can compare with the Grammys. That they will now want to win our awards because we keep on looking to the West for validation.
Yeah.
Let's validate ourselves from here, because that's why I asked you about Celebration. What really do you, because right now, I know that Celebration is the longest standing festival, musical festival in Nigeria. We have been on for over 20 years. I'm sure you don't know that.
No, I actually don't. I must admit, I don't know as much as I should about celebrations. I brought in Baba Abba, who is part of your community. He's spoken to me about it. I invite everyone that has already an established award show. I've received a number of them to come and collaborate with government, or even, if not collaborate with government, come to government to see how government can use its network, its access, and its resources to support these festivals. Now you talk about the Grammys. Of course, I think there's room for everyone, because at the moment, Nigeria is at the foremost of music expression in the world. Afrobeats, everyone is excited about it. And of course, the Grammys was interested in coming to Africa, by and large, because of Afrobeats, and we have to claim that. The Grammys, Africa was coming to Africa, and it was having founding members. The founding members were South Africa, Kenya, Rwanda, and the third proposal was Nigeria. I thought long and hard. Just as you said, we have local talent and local brand, which we need to support. So I thought long and hard about if Grammys comes to Africa and it's having founding members, and it has these three founding members, South Africa, Rwanda, Kenya, and is asking Nigeria. And for a long time, I sort of, I did a lot of grandstanding. But I think it would be dropping the ball for the heartland and the center of Afrobeats not to key into something like that. The fact that Nigeria would be one of the founding members of African Grammys does not mean that we will not support our own brand. And like I said, and which is why I keep on supporting and asking the headies to come back into Nigeria. Every single music festival that is of Nigerian brand, I want to encourage to come to see how we can work and partner with you, if it's only for our network, our access, and what way we can support to build that Nigerian brand. And like I said, we want to make Nigeria the creative hub of the world. And now that the world is really interested in this content, I think it is important for us to ensure that we encourage that.
The final question. Okay. So, I mean, we have to wrap up very soon, but I think people have heard you say 49 subsectors, and I'm wondering, okay, that's fashion, makeup, the whole work. So So we're expecting that government is building some kind of infrastructure to support these industries.
Yeah.
Because many have been doing makeup and all they do is just do makeup.
Yeah.
But it's got to be a framework to support that industry properly. So hopefully when you finally launch and when people can now start seeing how they can key into your plans. So let me give you the final 1 minute just so summarize everything.
Just to that, I want to say we do a framework to support the whole industry and the whole sector. And then those 49 subsectors, we're coming up with different programs and initiatives for them. Just before I left Abuja, we came up for an initiative for the comedy scene, for the beading scene, the jewelry scene, the henna scene, the hair dressing, the hair, makeup, the cosmetic scene. So the architecture. So every single one of those has its own programs and initiatives. But like I said, what is important is for us to put up a foundation for everything. Listen, it's an exciting time for the industry, and I'm still looking to have input from members of the industry, which is why, these stakeholder engagements must take place, because I need people within the industry to continue to help us flesh out. They care about the industry.
Thank you.
So,
you have money to do all these things. You have plenty of money to do
I'm not sure about that. It's the partnerships that will bring the money.
All right. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Oh, I loved it. This was on my bucket list.
And I'm glad you've
and I certainly hope that I will come back.
Tick that box now. So good. So hopefully we'll come back and do a bigger one with you.
Yeah, in the National Theatre.
Yes, in the National Theatre. You heard it, Nigeria. Your view is going.
The National Theatre is now the Wole Soyinka.
The Wole Soyinka Theatre. It's still our National Theatre, though. Wole Soyinka Theatre.
That is all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So